Hey everyone, GamerJlee here, and welcome back to the monthly Q&A, the monthly series where you guys get to ask me your questions and I give you my answers. And this month we were a little bit light on questions, I'm not gonna lie. It was a little light on YouTube questions, but Discord was pretty strong. So what we're gonna do today is we are gonna go through the questions that were asked this month, and I guess I'll give you guys my answers to the best of my abilities. But without further ado, let's jump into the YouTube questions. So our first question from the July Q&A comes from JasonX17112, and he says, questions for July Q&A. 1. Are you a fan of Dragon Ball, and if so, when did you start watching Dragon Ball in general? Well, I've been a fan for quite some time, but the way I've watched the show has been very up and down. Back when I was like 8 to 10 years old, I remember seeing Dragon Ball Z for the very first time, and the first episode I ever remember watching was the beginning of the Android/Cell saga when Future Trunks first shows up and kills Frieza and his father. That was the first time I ever saw it, and back then, it wasn't on Toonami at night. Toonami was during the middle of the day, and it was a very popular part of the day. Toonami was really beginning to grow at this time, and a lot of people loved it. It was not until later on that they moved it till the nightly thing, because there was a lot more violence and gore and things that they couldn't censor in the anime. So a lot of people said, you know what, move it till, later on in the night so that people who are more mature can watch that. But I remember it was on during the day, and I was a big fan because I had started watching it, and I thought Trunks was a badass. I loved Future Trunks. He was my favorite character. I liked Vegeta and Goku and Gohan and, Piccolo and so on and so forth, and Krillin, I guess. But I got really into it, and I bought the action figures. Like back then, Dragon Ball Z action figures were all over the place. It was really popular, but I remember watching it up until, I would say, a quarter of the way into the Boo saga, when like Boo would start turning people into chocolate and cookies and stuff. And being an 8 to 10 year old, I probably shouldn't have been this afraid, but literally that mentally fucked me up, thinking this was a living human being and he just got eaten by this monster. Like, that legitimately scared me to the point I couldn't watch it anymore. Like, it actually terrified me thinking of getting eaten alive by this fat fuck. So honestly, I watched it all the way up until then I was like, I'm creeped the fuck out, I'm done. And then in my early 20s is when they started re-releasing Dragon Ball Z on Blu-ray. Now, I wish they would release the original Dragon Ball on Blu-ray, but I guess I can put up with the DVDs. It's not a big deal. But I started watching through those, and that was right around the time that they had announced Dragon Ball Z Battle of the Gods. And this was going to be the first theatrical release of a Dragon Ball Z movie in the United States, and everyone was hyped for it. And I remember Matt's like, we need to go see it. We went and saw it. It was awesome. And that's when I started getting more and more into Dragon Ball Z and started watching the entire series, watched, a little bit of Super. I haven't gone to sit through Super because I know there's so much filler with the first 2 seasons, because it's just a recreation of Battle of the Gods and Resurrection F. And honestly, I want to get to those later points, but I want to sit through everything. So honestly, yes, I am a big fan of Dragon Ball Z, and honestly, it's one of my favorite animes of all time. Question number 2. Are you also a fan of the Doom franchise? And if so, what are your thoughts on the Doom 2016 reboot? Personally, for me, I love it. Well, let's see here. Now, I played Doom way back in 2004 whenever Doom 3 came out. And you're probably saying, wait, you took that long to play Doom? Yeah, because honestly, I had no idea what Doom was. Honestly, I had never heard of Doom until 2004 with the release of Doom 3. And that game terrified the fuck out of me. I remember I was still pretty young when that game came out. And that was the most disturbing game I had ever seen back then. It was disturbing, it was dark, it was terrifying. And now, I can run through that game easily without getting the shit scared out of me. But back then, that game was just heart attack fuel. it was really scary to me. And honestly, I thought Doom 3 was a great game. And when you bought the Steelbook version of Doom 3, which was the limited edition version, it also came with like ports of Doom 1 and 2 that you could play through the bonus content of the game. And they had this really cool G4 documentary series on there. It was really cool. And I actually played the original Dooms 1 and 2, and they were much more different. I was like, you know what? It seems like Doom 3 is more for jump scares and horror, where Doom 1 and 2 were just badass games that were kind of terrifying, but not Doom 3 terrifying. And then when Doom 2016 came out, I enjoyed it, and I thought it was more towards the original Doom with the badassery, but a lot of my friends, including myself, did not like the direction of the multiplayer because it felt very slowed down and not as much of an arena shooter as it should have been. This was a major complaint across the entire community, not just with me and my friends, but honestly, it was up in the air. Now, another thing that my friends didn't like about it, and I'm not super complaining about it, is the melee system, the brutal kills to regain health and ammo and so on and so forth. Some of my friends who are Doom purists are not a fan of this. Me, I can take it or leave it, but we kind of wish it was optional. I kind of wish it wasn't, you know, mandatory if you want to be able to survive this game. Like, you could just go through it without having to do the brutal kills. I personally have no problem with it, but a lot of my friends who were Doom purists had a problem with it. Kind of like how with Halo fans, we've got a problem with sprint, we've got a problem with ground pound and all this other stuff. They had a problem with that, but honestly, I felt like it was a good game nonetheless, and I had a good time honestly playing it. I love Doom 2016. I never got the chance to finish it, and I might have to go back and finish that final mission I was on before I had lost all my data back then. But let's move on to your next question. And it says, why is classic Halo gameplay an important factor in deciding whether or not you want to play Halo Infinite or not? Well, that is very, very simple. Back when we were playing Halo, back in 2007, all the way up to 2010, classic Halo was balanced. It wasn't like someone had an advantage over you. It wasn't like there was different loadouts and so on and so forth. Now, with Halo 5, they kind of fixed it with the loadout system. Everyone starts with equal starts. But the problem is that, honestly, advanced movement is a gimmick. It is a gimmick, and honestly, a lot of people in the Halo community went away from Reach because of the advanced movement system. It wasn't for them. They didn't like that they were trying to be Call of Duty, and that's what it comes off as with the gameplay. It comes off as trying to be Call of Duty or a modern day generic first person shooter. Halo was unique, and I've said this a million times, but I'll say it a million one more. Halo was unique, not needing sprint, not needing aim down sights, not needing all this advanced movement crap to get over with the audience. Halo was unique the way it was, being a arena styled shooter but without the fast movement. It was slow paced, but it was a good slow pace. When it comes to Reach, that's when the beginning of the end was, because they made a lot of mistakes in my opinion. Now, there's a lot of things improved, including the Forge, which was amazing, the campaign, which was fun, the weekly and daily challenges were excellent, but multiplayer wise, I got bored of that game. One, I didn't like the advanced movement. I didn't find it fun, and another thing was the weapon bloom. Weapon bloom was another thing that kind of drove me away from that game, because I felt like it slowed down the pace of the game. Whenever you had to wait for your recoil to go down in the game to take your next shot with the DMR, it felt like it slowed down the pace of the game, and in turn just kind of ruined it. Now, could I get used to Halo with sprint? Yeah, but do I want to play a Halo with sprint? Not really. I'd rather just play the classic games, but honestly, looking at it, Halo Infinite has 2 out of the 3 things. I'm waiting to see the gameplay. Honestly, could I live with Halo Infinite if it has sprint? Most likely. But if it has a bunch of wall running, ground pounding, clamber, aim down sights bullshit, no, I can't deal with that. To me, that's not Halo, and to me, that's just a game that I don't really care about. So we're just gonna have to wait and see. It also depends on how they do their microtransactions, because like we all heard from Frank O'Connor, The rec system is perfect. We aren't going to change it whatsoever. So we'll have to wait and see whenever it comes to that. But you finished off this question by saying, I always love these Q&A videos and I hope you are doing well. I'm doing okay. But let's move on to the next question. Our next question for the July Q&A comes from Bo Slingsby. And he asks, July Q&A. With Fortnite becoming very huge and in my opinion, the top game right now in terms of popularity, what game do you think, if any, could pass it by the end of the year or the end of 2019? Well, that is a very hard question to answer because one, it's a Battle Royale game. Battle Royale games are right now the top popularity, the top trend on YouTube, the top trend on Twitch, the top trend everywhere, especially Fortnite, because Fortnite is the new Minecraft. I'm not gonna lie. It's not just a joke because it has building mechanics. It's because it appeals to kids, it appeals to adults, and it's fun. And the thing is, I'm not gonna go and start making Fortnite content. Don't worry, that's not me, and I'm not trying to grow off of something that I know nothing about. But the thing about Fortnite is, it is right now the #1 trend. It is the #1 thing. I've seen so many YouTubers, so many content creators that I personally know or personally watch that have switched from being one topic to Fortnite. Now, the best example I can give is someone who's had a very successful growth since he switched over, which was HollowPoint. HollowPoint was a YouTube content creator for Call of Duty. He played Call of Duty all the way up until Call of Duty World War II, and he started getting bored of it. He said, this game isn't for me, I'm getting bored. And that's right when Fortnite came out. He saw Fortnite, he saw Battle Royale growing, and he jumped on it. And guess what? He made a smart move by jumping over because Call of Duty is dying and Fortnite's growing. And honestly, the dude makes good content. I don't watch him all the time because I'm not a Fortnite player, but the dude makes good content. He's really good at the game. And honestly, he could be the next possible, besides Ninja, the next like mainstream like Captain Sparkles or what's the other one? Sky Does Minecraft. It's kind of like that. Honestly, there's a lot of top Fortnite YouTubers. But think of it this way. Minecraft had, you know, the top two, you know, people. You had Captain Sparkles and you had Sky Does Minecraft. The top two Minecraft YouTubers and then a bunch of other little people doing the same exact thing, trying to get popular off of it. That's what's happening with Fortnite. You've got like Keemstar doing the Friday Night Fortnite on Twitch. You've got HollowPoint doing it. You've got Ninja doing it. You've got a lot of people doing Fortnite. But then you have a bunch of people that are jumping on the Fortnite trend trying to get into being popular with Fortnite. It's going to go on for probably a couple years. I'm not going to lie. The game has major stability with the community, and honestly, Epic Games is doing a good job with it. They haven't screwed up yet. But the problem is that I don't know how long it's going to last. People nowadays go from game to game like that. The problem is that Battle Royale and things like that, you can play games back to back to back to back and not get bored of it. It's also a competitive game because you always want to see how close you can get to #1. I don't know how long it's going to last. I don't know what game is going to take it over. Honestly, the Battle Royale genre is starting to get a little bit crowded. And with Call of Duty and Battlefield also coming out with their own Battle Royale modes, they're going to appeal to more of a mature audience, but are they going to overtake Fortnite? No, I don't think so. Because honestly, I could see maybe people like HollowPoint going back to Call of Duty for the Battle Royale mode, trying it out, maybe doing a couple videos, but then going back to Fortnite. I just think that's how it's going to be unless they're the most impressive, the most fun Battle Royale modes I've ever seen in my life. There's going to be no killing Fortnite for quite some time. It is literally the new Minecraft. But thank you for the question from Bo Slingsby. So that was it for the YouTube question comments. I know, there was only 2 this month. But our next question comes from the GamerJlee Discord, and it is from Ultraman X. And his question is, favorite car? Well, that is a very hard question to answer because I'm not much of a car guy. I'm really not. I remember back when I was younger, back in middle school, I remember I had dreams of having a Lamborghini or a Hummer. Yeah, I know that's really weird. I want a Lamborghini or a Hummer. Nowadays, I'm honestly happy with my Ford Explorer. That's what I drive. That's my daily driver. And honestly, I've been happy with it for quite some time. I used to have a Firebird. It was a 1993. I believe it was a 1993 or a 1994 Firebird with the T-tops, removable. Great for picking up chicks and great for the summer, but honestly, not a great car for a big dude like me. It was kind of hard, and honestly, it was a high maintenance car. It was a fun car, but it kind of, ran its course, and I had to sell it at one point and get an SUV, which my dad actually gave me his SUV, which is my current 1996 Ford Explorer, and then so on and so forth. But my favorite car, if I ever had a goal to get a car, would probably be like an Escalade or a Lamborghini. Like, honestly, I would love a Lamborghini. But I know that, God, like, he's going to kill me for botching this, because I'm probably going to botch it. But I remember Elvar, his dream car is like a 240 or a 270. Don't ask me what model or anything. He just always says, I want a 240, I want a 270 or something like that. And I always am like thinking of a graphics card. Like, literally, that's what everyone thought whenever I was saying, oh, he wants a 240. What AMD graphics card? No, a 240 car. I don't know what it is. So he's probably going to comment on this video saying, what the fuck, you botched it so hard. But if anyone knows what that is, go ahead and ask him. Twitter. Ask Elvar. He's on Twitter. Ask him in the Discord. I don't know. But anyways, great question from Ultraman X. So our next question comes from Shadow Scoundrel, and he asks, and I'm gonna ad-lib this, if the rumors of Halo Infinite are true on being open world, what do you think it will play like? Me personally, I see a lot of Metal Gear Phantom Pain base building, and honestly, would Sprint be okay in that? Say campaign only, where Sprint is casual, and in casual playlists like Big Team Battle or Warzone. Well, me personally, if it was open world, I could see Sprint being an okay thing. Do I want it to be open world? No, because the thing is that Halo 1's campaign missions were pretty big. Look at the original Halo mission from Halo Combat Evolved. It was pretty big, and you had to walk around a lot of places besides having your Warthog. If it's open world, they need to have a lot more vehicle options and a lot more times where you can use vehicles to your advantage to explore the world. Walking around everywhere is not going to be as fun, and having Sprint, to me, I just want Sprint to go away personally. I think it would be okay if it was an open world game, but me personally, I just don't want Sprint. That's just me. To me, that's just not Halo, but that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion on it. I would prefer no Sprint, but if it was an open world game, I might be okay with it. And when it comes to the whole casual playlist thing, maybe Warzone, but Big Team Battle, I kind of want to lean towards no Sprint. Honestly, I can live with Sprint. I can live with it, but I can't live with the clamber, the aim down sights, the ground pound, the Spartan charge, all that other stuff. I can't live with that. I've put up with Sprint long enough that I can get used to it, but me personally, I just would rather go back to classic, Halo. That's what I would prefer. But good question. Thank you, Shadow Scoundrel. Our next question comes from Claude Assassin, and he asks, so what enemies do you think will come in the next Halo title? Well, that's actually a pretty damn good question, because from what we remember with Halo 5, the Covenant are gone. They are dead. The Covenant has been dismantled by the Arbiter during that final assault, but we did see them when we were on the Forerunner planet trying to save the Master Chief. Now, do I think we'll see the Covenant again? I kind of hope so, because I don't think it would be really a Halo game without the Covenant, but at the same time, I've honestly not had fun battling them the past couple of games. Halos 4 and 5, they were just not as fun, and honestly, the design of the Covenant has just been boring. Now, if they return to the classic art style, with the Covenant, with the grunts, with the elites, with everything, yeah, I would be definitely down to face the Covenant one more time. I would love the opportunity to be able to fight the Covenant in that classic art style. I love the design of the elites in Halos 1 through 3. Reach was the beginning of the downfall for them, but they weren't too bad. And then Halos 4 and 5 were just terrible, in my opinion. They were just absolutely terrible, and I hated the design in those games. So if they return to the classic art style, yeah, but lore-wise, I don't think they're going to be coming back unless they are under the command of Cortana and battling together with the Prometheans, which I think we will be seeing, but I think there might be a little bit of a plot twist, because I think we are going to see the return of the Flood in Halo Infinite. I personally think that way, due to the fact that I think it would be really cool to have a situation similar to Halos 1 and Halos 3, where you had to fight the Covenant and the Flood at the same time. So you're basically facing Cortana and her troops, the Prometheans, and maybe you could have the Flood integrate with them and infect them and have like Promethean Flood forms. That would be pretty cool. And it would be just really cool to see the Gravemind return as a character and kind of like, I remember you, Spartan. I remember all. And also maybe have him try and mess with Cortana. Maybe he has some, sort of grasp on her still. And maybe the only way to save the world is to kill the Gravemind and her. And finally delete Cortana from the entire franchise. Maybe that's what happens. I don't know. But personally, I would love to see basically all three factions, minus the Prometheans, but I know we're going to get them, return to Halo Infinite in a really cool ending of the franchise, personally. I would love to see the end of the franchise, but it's 343 Microsoft. What do you expect? Our next question comes from HexD, and he asks, thoughts on the Halo Wars series, and should there be a sequel? Well, that is a very hard question to answer, because I would personally love a sequel. I would love a ending to the entire series of Halo Wars, ending in a perfect trilogy. But unfortunately, from what I've heard from people that have contacts with 343 Industries and Microsoft, there are no plans to do a final Halo Wars game. And the reason why is because they didn't do as well as they had hoped. Because they didn't do as well as they had hoped with the microtransactions. Because they haven't done as well as they hoped with the Seasons Pass and with the game in general. And that's really sad to hear. That to me is really sad to hear, because I personally enjoyed Halo Wars 1. I enjoyed Halo Wars 2 for the single player and the Nightmare Awakens DLC. I enjoyed those because they were Halo stories. I'm a big lore nut. Multiplayer wise, I never enjoyed Halo Wars 2, and I could never get into it because I'm not an RTS player. I'm not good at those types of games, and I was decent at Halo Wars 1. You guys can see the gameplay in the background. I don't know if I've switched gameplay since then, but I loved Halo Wars. It was honestly a fun franchise for me and a fun series, but I don't see there being a third and final game. Now, could they wrap it up in a final book? Yeah, they're probably going to do that. They're probably going to wrap it up in a nice little bow with a book, because that is easier and cheaper to make, and it's not as high risk as making a game. And that's really shitty to hear, but unfortunately I think that's the reality we're probably going to have to face when it comes to Halo Wars 3. Our next question from the Discord comes from Frantic Ficus, and he asks, if you had the chance to talk to any wrestler or play video games with any wrestler, who would you pick and why? Now, this is a very good question, and a question that I've been looking forward to answering all month. And honestly, I'm going to give two separate answers. If I had the chance to talk to any wrestler, it would be either AJ Styles or The Undertaker. The Undertaker, because I have major respect for him, and I would actually ask him how he felt about the American Badass, gimmick. I love that gimmick. It was what I grew up with, and honestly, I would like to hear his brutally honest opinions on it and how he felt about it. But if I had the chance to play video games with any wrestler, it would probably be, again, AJ Styles, or the one that I would want to play with the most, Kevin Owens, because I relate to Kevin Owens the most. We're both bigger guys, but he's kind of an inspiration to me. The reason why I say that is because the amount of athleticism he shows in the ring kind of inspires me to improve myself, and that I can do what he can do. I can improve myself to be like that. And it's not just, oh, you have to be super skinny and built and jacked to show that kind of athleticism. You don't have to. You can be a bigger guy and do those things. And that kind of inspires me. You know, what I love about modern day wrestling is that it isn't just all jacked up or skinny guys. It's, you know, a mishmash of many different things. You have people like Kevin Owens, a bigger body build, that basically he's still able to do the same athletic things that many, you know, cruiserweights are able to do. He's pretty impressive. Now, is he doing 450 splashes? No. But is he able to do a swanton bomb or a moonsault? Yeah, which to me, I would love to be able to do someday. But I don't know if that's ever going to happen, or if I would even be allowed to, because my girlfriend would probably kill me. But besides that, you have AJ Styles, someone who is much more of a gamer and honestly knows a lot about video games. He isn't the most, you know, intelligent about them, but he's still up there. And I would honestly love to play video games with AJ because he actually plays them. But that's just my opinion. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, why wouldn't you want to collab with Xavier Woods? Why wouldn't you want to collab with him? You know, he's got a YouTube channel. He would get you more views. Guys, I'm just going to mention this once. And I'm sorry, but I wouldn't want to play with Xavier Woods because, honestly, I haven't been able to still get over the Xavier Woods, Brad Maddox page tape that someone showed me when that whole scandal was going out. Don't Google it, but I'm scarred. And I've never looked at Xavier Woods the same way ever again. So let's move on to the next question. The next question comes from a newcomer to our Discord server, Post Watermelon, and he asks if there was anything you could change in the Halo series or any other game, what would it be? Well, that is a very easy question to answer, and honestly, I love your name, Post Watermelon. I love the reference to Post Malone, one of my favorite rappers at the time. But if there was anything I could change in the Halo series or any other game, what would it be? Well, if it was the Halo series, I would have never added sprint or any of the advanced movement. That would be the major change that I would have added to Halo Reach and to 4 and 5. There would have never been sprint. There would have never been clamber. There would have never been ground pound. There would have never been Spartan charge. That was what I would change to Halo. But if I could change to any other game, I think that I would save the entire gaming industry by making it so that microtransactions were never a thing. That is the one thing that I would get rid of. Honestly, I'd rather get rid of microtransactions than get rid of sprint in Halo. That's sad, isn't it? I would rather take the sacrifice of having to pick either no sprint in Halo and no advanced movement, or no microtransactions in games in general. I would rather take the bullet of no microtransactions in games in general than no sprint. That's my sacrifice I give to the gaming community. And honestly, thank you very much for the question, Post Watermelon. Our next question comes from Griff, another newcomer to our Discord server. And he asks, is today your birthday? Well, he asked this on 7/24/18. And no, that was not my birthday. My birthday is in October on the 30th. So thank you for the question, and I will see you on my birthday whenever you can wish me a happy birthday. Thanks for the question. Our next question comes from Riot Dragon, and he asks, what are your thoughts on Marty O'Donnell's soundtrack for the Bungie Halo games, and do you hope he returns to Halo in the future? Well, that is a very good question, because honestly, I love his music. I loved all of his work. I loved Halo's soundtrack for Halos 1, 2, and 3. I thought they were absolutely amazing. I loved ODST and Reach to a point. But yes, do I wish they would return for Halo Infinite? Yes, I do. Because honestly, I really have no fond memories of any of the musics of Halos 4 or 5. None of those songs are memorable. None of those songs are things that get caught in your mind like they do with Halo. Like with Halo, you go da 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 da. Like those are the songs that get caught in your eye, or the oh, you know, the Halo melody. Those get stuck in your mind. Those play through your head over and over and over again. Name one track from Halo 4 or 5 that is as iconic. I'm sorry, Hayden Xperia, I'm stealing your gimmick for 1 minute, but as iconic as those. Please, name one. I will be waiting, because honestly, there's been none, in my personal opinion, that are as iconic as anything that was made by Marty O'Donnell. And the final question from the Q&A for July comes from Rogue49, and he asks, with Gears of War 5, is it possible that giving Marcus a softer side of empathy and having his son become more of him shows the relationship that a son will always turn into his father? Perhaps Marcus is becoming more like his own. Well, that could be the case. I really don't think so. I think it might just be bad writing, in my opinion, but that could be a possibility. Personally, we don't know enough about Adam Phoenix to really say if he's becoming like his father. When it comes to Marcus, we know he's a war hero. He's a soldier. That's what he's always been. When it comes to Adam Phoenix, all we know is that he was the creator of the Hammer of Dawn. He was the creator of the Jacinto weapon. He was the creator of the weapon at the end of Gears of War 3. He was a creator of weapons and a creator of, you know, many different things. He was a scientist. Marcus isn't that kind of person. He's not really the thinking type. He's the doing type. And I don't see Marcus becoming more like his father. Now, could he be showing more empathy like his father? Yeah, possibly. But personally, I kept replaying my video through my head, and I kind of wish that I had reenacted what I think Marcus's kind of, you know, reaction should have been. I think it should have been more like, you know, him standing there looking at the necklace and saying, this was your grandmother's? This is the same necklace you showed me? This was your grandmother's and you just now realized this? And maybe him freaking out to the point that JD and Dell have to hold him back whenever he's freaking out, to the point he's having almost like PTSD. He's you know, remembering everything he went through. He remembers all the people he lost in Gears 1. He remembers the people he lost in Gears 2. He remembers losing Kim. He remembers losing all of the Carmines except for Clayton. He remembers when Ty killed himself from being tortured by the Locust. He remembers Dom having to kill his wife. He remembers when Dom committed suicide to save them all. He remembers his father dying in his arms at the end of Gears of War 3. He remembers all this. This would be a great moment to almost have him have PTSD and almost have him react to seeing this necklace and putting 2 and 2 together that she could possibly be the granddaughter of the Locust Queen. I think that would be a great way to put it, but that's just my personal opinion. And I think this has been a great Q&A, guys. Thank you so much for all of the amazing questions. Thank you for all the Discord questions and for all of the YouTube questions. And if you would like to have your questions answered in the August Q&A, go down in the comment section down below and leave your Q&A question. You can do it that way, or you can go over to our Discord server and head to the Q&A Discord comment section and basically leave your question there. Now, honestly, I would really appreciate if you could leave it to 1 question per month. I would really appreciate that, because that gives more time for me to answer other questions instead of having a super long video. Now, I do these videos because it's kind of like fan service to you guys. In my opinion, it's fan service because I like to give you guys a platform to be able to ask me things and get my opinion on things, and most of the time I'll do that during a commentary video. But whenever I'm doing the Q&A, it's mainly about you guys. It's getting your voices out there and asking the questions you want to know. So go ahead, leave them down in the comment section down below or over on the Discord. And that's going to do it for the July Q&A. So if you have questions that you want to have answered, go ahead. Like I said, Discord, YouTube comments, whichever. Go ahead and leave your question down below. But thank you guys for watching. And as always, GamerJlee signing out.